There's Larry.
Let it load in here.
Oh. Sorry,
Alright,
Robert, I just muted you.
That's okay.
Oh, is Roger here too?
Roger is here.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. It's 7 o'clock, so we'll get started. Will the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, please come to order. This evening's meeting will be a virtual planning and zoning meeting hosted by Zoom. During this meeting, our procedures will be as follows. 1, when you first enter the Zoom meeting, you'll be in a virtual waiting room until the meeting host admits you. 2, please be aware that your camera, if you have one, or your microphone may be muted by the meeting host when you enter the meeting. You can turn on your camera at any time so that you can be seen by others when and if you choose to. In order to run an efficient and orderly meeting in this virtual environment, unless stated otherwise by the meeting chairman during the meeting host may keep everyone other than the commission members muted. You'll still be able to hear everything said by the commission members, even if you're muted and or your camera is not on. There will be opportunity for public comment during public hearings, at which time public participants will be unmuted. 3, during the public hearing, the applicant will be invited to present the application, explain to the commission and others present what is being requested. The meeting host will share all related documents on the screen as needed. In addition, all applications and supporting materials for each application on the agenda have been available through the public meeting calendar page of the town website, www.guilfordct.gov, and also through a direct link on the planning and zoning page. 4, comments of town agencies will be discussed as applicable to the application. There'll be clarifying questions from the commissioners, and the town planner will direct our attention to any additional items pertinent to the application. 5, after all commissioner questions are exhausted, those who wish to speak in support or in opposition to the application will be asked to come forward, state their name and address for the record, and make a statement. 6, the applicant will then have an opportunity to address any questions or concerns raised by the public or commissioners. 7, once the public hearing is closed, the applicant is free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearings and the regular meeting, during which the commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to the decision of this commission and has a right to appeal to Superior Court if desired. 8, decisions of this meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Department at 203-453-8039 or by emailing planning.zoning@guilfordct.gov after 9 a.m. 9, all actions taken on applications tonight by the commission will be by roll call. All commissioners and staff will identify themselves for the record before speaking. Seated this evening are the following members who will please identify themselves. Commissioners Kevin Clark. Bill Freeman.
Here.
Ted Sands. Ted.
No, Ted.
You're muted, Ted.
Nope.
Okay. Phil Johnson.
Here.
Roger Joyce.
Here.
Sean Cosgrove.
Here.
And I'm Scott Edmund. We have 2 existing alternates, Larry Rizzolo and Bob Harrington.
Yep.
And I'll throw it to Ann Harchin, our town planner, for a couple other introductions.
Sorry, hey,
Eddie.
Scott, quick question. Do I see Ted
Sure.
or not?
I did not see Ted, no.
Okay, sorry.
I thought I saw him earlier.
Well,
I
if he comes back,
don't have him on my list.
if he comes back, he'll be seated. Otherwise, it looks like it'll be Larry and Bob that are seated today. But I'll throw it to Ann for some other introductions.
Good evening, commissioners. I just wanted to officially introduce 3 people tonight. The first is Robin Penna, who's my new administrative assistant. She's joined us in June, and I don't think I had a chance to actually introduce you all. Robin, can you just say hi?
Hi.
Welcome.
Robin's always around if you need any help and if I'm not around. And we also have Abby Halley, who has joined us. She let me know the other day she's been with us for 6 weeks. It feels like a blink of the eye, but she's doing great, and she's our new zoning enforcement officer. You say hi, Abby, to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Evening.
And lastly, we have a new alternate commissioner, Donald Pritchard. Don, if you could give everybody just a brief bio and introduce yourself.
I thought the reason I sent you the bio was so you were going to do it.
Yeah, I know, but I can't find it. So.
Don Pritchard, been in town for 18 years. My wife grew up here. Retired medic of 23 years. Had a small business on the shoreline before an illness. Served in the Marines. First Gulf War veteran. And just looking to help in any way I can. So.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome, Don. Welcome, Don.
Thank you.
And then my last piece of business is this meeting will be recorded via the Zoom platform and made available on the town website for viewing. I'll throw it to you, Ann, to get us started.
Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 public hearing items tonight. I don't know if you want to open the public hearings and then
Yep.
I'll introduce the first item.
Sure, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearings on all the items on the agenda.
Make a
Before we
motion.
open,
I
can I
heard-
clarify who's seated currently? Since
Yeah,
there's-
so with 2 commissioners missing, we have Larry Rizzolo seated and Bob Harrington seated.
I think Ted just showed up on the bottom right in my screen.
Yep, Ted is here.
There he is.
He's muted.
Hey, Ted.
Yeah, you
You
are.
are muted, but we see you. Okay, so then you're gonna have to remind me if any of the alternates were seated last meeting.
I was.
All right, so then Larry, you're up.
Terrific.
Okay, so Philip Johnson has made a motion to open the public hearing on all items on the public hearing agenda. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Right, second from Roger. Let's go through Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and also vote yes. Go ahead, Ann.
Okay, first item on our agenda is 88 Orcutt Drive, map 94, lot 3, zone R8. The applicant owner is Douglas Herr. This is a special permit to allow an accessory structure over 750 square feet. This item was tabled previously, so we need to vote to remove it from the table.
Motion to remove it from the table.
Thank you,
Second.
Ted. Thank you, Phil. All in favor to remove from table, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Unanimous. All right, who do we have here for this application?
We should have Doug Herr.
Doug Herr, I'm in attendance. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Good evening.
Hello. Can you please present to commissioners your application?
Yes, the application is to build a detached 3-car garage, which is 28 by 40 feet. And our interest is in also building above it a 1-bedroom apartment. And it would tie into the existing 5-bedroom septic system. The house currently has 4 bedrooms, and we have received approval from septic as far as tying in the 1-bedroom into that 5-bedroom septic system.
Right, and do we have a map that we can
Yep.
put up?
I can share my screen. Give me a second. Okay, this is the site plan. Trying to blow it up a little.
And I might add that the detached garage was one which was presented back when we originally built the house 30 plus years ago. So it's really nothing new from 30 years ago.
Yeah, but some of us weren't commissioners 30 years ago.
Speak for yourself.
Can you see that site plan now?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So here's the site plan. The future garage is around where these green lines are, and then we also have architecturals for the garage and elevations. So the ADU in the second, on the second floor, which is as of right with the zoning permit. So you're really approving the garage itself.
Okay.
And the plans, I did update the plans with the 2022 regulations, which is indicated on that first page in green as well.
Right, with the roof drainage to leaders and everything.
Yes, yes, sir.
And we're far enough from the property line.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it looks that way. And any comments or anything that we need to bring up from town staff on this item?
No, there's, we're complying with stormwater. He has his health sign off, so he's good to go.
And, you know, it's a rather big one, so we don't have a height issue that conforms.
Nope, he's in
Okay.
conformance.
All right, any other questions from commissioners? All right, I'll open it up to questions. This is a public hearing item, so questions from the audience, if we could jump back. Thank you. And raise your hand through the Zoom platform if you have anything you'd like to if you'd like to make a statement about this application, or you can wave in front of your camera and we'll try to see you. Seeing none. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
So moved.
Second,
Heard that from Ted. I heard the second from Phil. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on this item. Any discussion? Looks like none. Go ahead,
I just
Phil.
make a quick comment. Doug,
Sure.
I have an almost very, very similar type garage, which you're more than welcome to come see and learn from my mistakes. But that's up to you. So you can see where I live.
Oh, I would love it if you could send me your contact information. That'd be fantastic. I would love to take you up on that.
You got it.
Thank
All
you.
right. We have a motion and a second and discussion. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes to close public hearing on this item. Next, we'll vote on this later in our regular meeting. And next item.
I think we're voting on them as we do them, so we don't forget about them.
Okay, we can do that too. Would anyone like to make a motion related to this application?
I would,
Over this application?
Based, what's the wording that we're using in? Is we're
Motion to approve application for the draft permit.
for the special permit, yeah.
I will amend my motion to recommend approval per the special permit as submitted by the town planner on this matter.
perfect, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Bill. Discussion. Great
Looks pretty
plans.
straightforward to me.
Yeah, great plans.
Yeah.
And nice that he's already gotten approval from the health department as well. So, this is a good application as far as I can see. We have a motion and a second on approval. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes. Good luck to you, Doug.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Chair, our next item is 413 Vineyard Point Road, map 4, lot 45, zone R5. The applicant agent is Mark Young of Waldo and Associates on behalf of the owner, the Benton Family Irrevocable Trust. This is a review for a subdivision of the site into 3 lots. This was tabled at our last meeting, so we first need to vote to remove it from the table.
So
So
motion.
moved.
Thank you, Ted. Second.
second,
All in favor of removing from
Aye.
the table.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All right, who do we have for this application?
Mark, you're muted on your presentation.
How about that?
There you
We
go.
got you.
That better?
Yes.
Okay,
Much.
okay, great. Start over again. I'm Mark Young. I'm a land surveyor with Waldo Associates. We're representing the Benton Family Trust in this application. This application is we're requesting approval of a subdivision, a property of the Benton Family Trust. This property is on the west side of Vineyard Point Road, about 1,000 feet north of Falcon Road. It's about 11.5 acres total. And it's been in the Benton family for many years. This particular piece was the home of Edwin Benton for many years. He built his a house there in, I think, in the early 1980s, and resided there until his passing last year. One particular feature about the property is about a third of it is open field, a third of it is kind of a steep wooded slope, and a third is wetland. Ed dug a pond in the wetlands about, again, back in the early 1980s. And it's worked out well. It's an attractive pond. All the activity is going to be in the relatively more level and the open field in the eastern part of the property. We've laid out 3 lots. Each one has adequate high ground and meets the zoning regulations for the area. We've shown possible locations for 2 new houses. Lot 2 in the middle will have the existing house. Whether it remains or not, of course, that's up to the new owners. All 3 lots will be served by a driveway coming off of Vineyard Point Road on the east side. It will goes. The drive is currently serving the main house, and it'll be substantially the same place. However, in accordance with Guilford regulations, we will widen the driveway to 15 feet where it serves 2 lots, and then it'll be down to 10 feet where it continues on to lot 3. We have did extensive soil tests on the property. Lot 1, a significant portion of that land is really unsuitable for septic systems. Turns out that some of the material from the pond had spread out on that part of the property, which formerly was fairly shallow, and planted grass, and he had sheep there for many years. But in any case, we found some, an area of suitable soils right near the bend in the driveway. It will require a small amount of select fill, but it's certainly feasible to build a code compliant septic system there. Lot 2, the existing house, has a system that was built when the house was built, which is code compliant for
for the house and still is code compliant. And for lot 3, we found sufficient soil to build a code compliant septic system. There is city water in the street where we are applying to the health department, state health department, for a well exception permit. So we've identified feasible locations for wells for the 2 new lots. The existing house is also served by a well. The wetland boundary is on to the south and west of the property. Particularly on the west, it's at the base of a steep wooded slope. That was flagged by Bob Russo. It was reviewed by the Inland Wetlands Commission, and noting that we have no regulated activity, the Inland Wetlands Commission reported favorably on this project. As I said, all the activity will be in the area that's currently open. We anticipate no tree clearing or any regulated any wetlands activity. There is a bit of high ground on the other side of the wetlands to the southwest of the property, but it's basically isolated. You have to cross the wetland to get there, so we have no plans for any activity in that area. When we first got started on looking at a subdivision here, I tried laying out a public road with smaller lots, because this is R5 and 40,000 square feet is the minimum lot size. But and the access way out to Vineyard Point Road is 50 feet wide, so it is feasible to build a public road there. But it turned out that it just didn't lend itself. By the time you got the road in there with a cul-de-sac, you chewed up half of the land, and you might get one more lot, but it would cost more to build the road than it was worth. So we felt that these 3 large lots were much more in keeping with the neighborhood. We weren't gonna cram a bunch of little raised ranches in there. It wouldn't be appropriate. It just didn't make sense. Now, as far as open space, there is no adjoining land which is open to the public. There's no land trust land, there's no town land which adjoins the large wetlands area. So we've decided that we'll go with the fee in lieu of option on the open space. So we've got 3 large lots. Only one house really will be visible from the street, and the other 2 lots are kind of way back in the interior. So this will have almost no noticeable impact on the surrounding neighborhood. I don't know what kind of houses are going to be built here, but I expect they'll be in keeping with the neighborhood. I think it's a low impact project, and it'll be an enhancement to the neighborhood and to the town.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
Yeah, one for Mark is, so what is the land that would be, would be involved in fee in lieu of? Can you mark that?
We have a professional appraisal of the land. Attorney Lightsey has been dealing with this, and he has a few comments.
I think the question was, Attorney Bob Lightsey, 37 Boston Street here in Guilford. If I understood the question, is there any land available rather than a fee in lieu? Is that the question?
It's basically, Mark referenced some fee in lieu. I just want to know what what portion of the property he is referencing.
I think it's the whole property. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the whole
It-
point.
It would be the open space dedication for the entire project. And as I mentioned, none of the land really is suitable for donation to any any conservation organization or to the town.
Yeah, the
and
fee
because
and
of
lieu
the
structure
taxing,
is, the fee and lieu structure is spelled out in our regs.
Scott, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Can you just bring us up to speed quick on what is it, a percentage of the assessed value?
Yeah, Ann can help me on that too, but yeah, I
Sorry.
believe it was I think it was 10% or attorney
I think it's 10%.
I believe it was 10% of the, I think we decided that we were gonna use the town assessed value.
Right.
But
10%.
maybe I'm totally lost, but I thought it was the portion of the land that was unused by the lot owners.
No,
No,
I think
it's
it's
the total.
Oh,
it's the entire parcel that's looking to be subdivided.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
Okay.
You
Correct.
take the assessed value of the parcel prior to the subdivision and you apply the percentage.
Okay.
Right, because basically either they're supposed to give 10% of open space from the parcel, or they're supposed to give a fee in lieu. That's 10% of the parcel assessed value.
It was, and I'm not sure whether it was 10 or 15.
Yeah, I think it was. It's whatever's in the regs. Yeah, Ann.
If I may, the dedication of land is usually 10% of the total area of the subdivision, but
Right.
the ordinance is actually silent on what the percentage of the fee in lieu is. So you get to make that determination.
Oh, great.
Did we put that in?
I thought we had that. Where
I
it
thought
wasn't,
we had that in there.
Well, excuse me.
I thought it
Mike.
was 10%.
This is what I will read you the ordinance if just to clarify this. Fee in lieu of land, it's D1 of the subdivision code. Where dedication of land as open space will not meet the purpose of this section, the commission may request that the developer applicant pay a fee to the town or pay a fee and transfer the land to the town or other acceptable entity in lieu of any requirement to provide land. 2, if payment of such fee is proposed by the applicant, the commission may refuse such fee if it determines that there are acceptable areas in the subdivision which merit preservation by one of the methods set forth in these regulations. 3, if approved by the commission, a fee in lieu of land shall be paid to the land acquisition fund of the town in accordance with section 8-25 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended.
And 8-25 probably has a percentage of the land value.
Well, regardless, we'll just have to put it on Ann's list of things to
Right.
fix.
Fix.
I think 10% is generally historically what you've done,
Right.
but I'm just saying it's not
Correct.
spelled
10% is
out.
historically what we've done, and I was under the assumption it was
So
gonna be, it was in there,
10% of the assessed value, or what do you use?
Correct.
All
as
right,
the
but
value?
here's where we're a little fuzzy on this, because if we were to take this thing is assessed now as one lot.
Yep.
If we were to approve the subdivision, the value of the land would go up and the assessed value would go up.
Yeah,
And
but
the
it's
tax-
based off of, it's based off the
Based
land
off
when
what's in the
it's,
cards now,
yeah.
not
when
based on what the
when
future
applied.
value is.
Let me,
See, I don't
if
recall
I
that
may
being the
add-
case at all.
if I may add just language from 8-25, let me just read this so we can cut this
Please.
discussion board. Such regulations may, with the approval of the commission, authorize the applicant to pay a fee to the municipality or pay a fee to the municipality and transfer land to the municipality in lieu of any requirement to provide open space. Such payment or combination of payment and the fair market value of land transferred shall be equal to not more than 10% of the fair market value of the land
Prior to.
to be subdivided prior to the approval of the subdivision. The fair market value shall be determined by an appraiser jointly selected by the commission and the applicant.
That's what I
So
remember.
this applicant has provided an appraisal by their own appraiser. So part of your determination is, do you accept that appraisal? Are you happy with it?
We will do that.
Or do you want to do something else?
Is it more or less than the assessed value?
What we're saying is, we would accept, I mean, assuming we accept the appraisal of is it the seller's appraisal?
It's the applicant, yeah.
Is subdivider.
Yeah.
And so we would accept 10% as the fee in lieu.
Correct.
Or if we were unhappy with the appraisal, we could get our own appraisal. and
Or-
then
or-
have
or-
two appraisals.
we
But
could
the point that you made, Ted, was that the appraisal is prior to the fact that this parcel of land is being subdivided,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Correct.
But we're not going to assess someone on the future value. We're going to assess them on the present,
Okay,
which is
all right.
the parcel that we're.
So
current-
what is the appraisal currently?
1.2 million.
Now, let me speak to
And
that.
is that is the land value only deducting any buildings and structures?
I'll share my screen, but Attorney Lightstick can,
Yeah, let me get
Chime
my
in.
water on this a little bit, if I may. Attorney Bob Lightsey once again. There are always two aspects of this kind of fee in lieu matter, and that one is the percentage that you're going to apply. That appears to be a consistent 10% here in Guilford, as I understand it. That probably ought to be made a policy decision, so that people will know exactly what you're talking about.
Agreed.
The other is, to what do you apply that 10%? And that is the value of the land prior to the subdivision. Let's get that very clear, because that's right in the statute.
Yeah,
Now,
understood.
what you run into then is a possibility of having somebody submit an appraisal, which you may or may not like. You can then go out and get your own appraisal and go through all this nonsense and so forth. I recommend that you simply use the town appraised value for consistency purposes, because that way you won't have a problem with arguing about appraisals, determining whether the appraiser is qualified and all that kind of thing. And you always have a specific value of your land within the assessor's office, and that has been determined by an appraisal, obviously, the Vision Group. And if you would do that, and you would have two things that you would do very consistently, which would be very fair. Number one, apply the 10%. Number two, apply it against the town assessed value of the land prior to subdivision.
But the question here is, the town appraised value, I bet, includes the value of the house.
No, you can
No, no,
they
no.
separate it out.
No.
It separates the land.
They're
and the building.
separate.
Yeah, they're separate.
And
And
if you have
honest-
land value consistently from application to application, then you're doing a good job of being consistent. The
What
same
is the,
the
what
1%.
is the town's appraised value for the land?
About 842,000, if I recall correctly. I'll tell you exactly. The appraised value of the land on the part of the town of Guilford is $823,800. Which
So
would
we're
be-
talking-
This will be
And-
a contribution of $82,380.
And the appraised value as per your appraisal is $1.2 million. So
Yeah.
you're suggesting that we ignore your appraisal and take the lower value?
What I'm saying is to be consistent from time to time, year to year, and application to application. The best way to do it is to use the town appraisal.
I'm
If
gonna
I
be
were
honest,
you, I'd
that-
rip up that appraisal.
I don't know I don't know where this appraisal came from, I don't care.
But,
But I'm not relying on it, we're not relying on it. But I would
You
like. to
submitted
find
it
out-
as part of your application, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think from a
That's-
consistency standpoint,
I withdraw it.
is to use the town appraised value of the land as, and then a 10%, fee. I think that's the consistent base we want to start off. If
Yes.
developers want to say, no, it's not really worth that, and they want to get something else and argue that point, I think that's fine. In this case, I don't think that's what they're doing.
I agree with Phil.
I think we better be careful. I would hope that we could all agree that the town appraised value is a fair way to look at the value of the land, because that is the basis upon which we tax people. And I'm not gonna be one to sit here and say the appraised value on the part of the assessor's office through the division appraisal is problematic. What I'm saying is it's consistently applied. It's the best way to do this. We're talking about a fee in lieu. That's all we're talking about here. We're not talking about a tax.
Yep.
The
Understood.
consistency, I think, is gonna be really important for this board.
Okay, should we, let's see,
So I'll just say,
now what-
I'm offering that as the fee in lieu, 10% of the town appraised value of the land. For the record.
then why did you give us the appraisal that said that the
It
fair
doesn't
value
matter,
was
Ted.
$1.2
It doesn't matter.
I
We're
did.
beyond that at this point.
I think because there was confusion between separating the land from the house and they didn't do it properly. So what they gave us was incorrect.
Or they should have just looked at it and said, we're not going to submit it. Whatever. However you want to look at it.
All the above.
Let's just be as consistent as we can be for people now and going forward.
Well, and I think that it is fair to say, and as Mr. Lysing has pointed out, I think he said this, we have not been consistent. The fee in lieu of has been a football in the air for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Agreed.
well, and that's why we adjusted the language, I'm not sure where that one part about finding an alternate,
I think that
Assessment
falls to
came
where
from.
that falls to where an applicant might dispute a higher value of the land.
yeah.
Correct.
for
Where
sure.
they say it's really, it's 1/10 of an acre of buildable land and 8 acres of marsh. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
and-
worth X.
And anyone who wants to,
Right.
develop a piece of property has to have predictability. And I think that's what Attorney Leipzig was saying.
Mhm.
Yep,
Just
Exactly.
predictability.
great,
And if they
any,
were to object, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm going to
That's
say,
fine.
if they were to object to values that are assessed for tax purposes, they have a chance every year to test that in court and or with your Board of Assessment Appeals. And this would be not the place to do that.
No. And anyone who would contest, the annual, the periodic assessment, they want to go down.
They got rocks in their head.
Yeah, right.
all right, any other questions
right.
from commissioners on the application? And anything from town staff that we need to discuss related to the application?
I would suggest opening it up to comment from the public, and then I have once you close, I have some comments on the permit.
Yeah, maybe soon.
Okay, so we'll open it up to public comments. If you have a comment either for or against, please raise your hand through the Zoom platform or in front of your camera and we'll call on you. Not seeing anyone. All right. And a couple of things just in terms of housekeeping. This is a site plan and a CAM, is that correct?
Well, first we'll vote on the subdivision, and later in the meeting, we will vote on the site plan and the coastal site plan. So two
I got
separate
you.
decisions. This is
All
for
right.
the subdivision itself.
So should we officially vote on the fee in lieu determination?
If you'd like to close the public hearing, I have some comments about the draft report that I'd like to go over with you.
All right, sounds good. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on this item?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Phil. This is a motion to close public hearing. Larry Zolo? You're muted, Larry.
Yes.
Roger Joyce?
Yes.
Ted Sands?
Yes.
Bill Freeman?
Yes.
Philip Johnson?
yes.
Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
And I will also vote yes.
I'm just going to share my screen so we can look at the draft permit.
Okay.
A couple things that need to be decided. Number 6 would be either the percentage of appraised value or a dollar amount that I need to put into the report. Number 7 is just a note that the conveyance, and this is out of the ordinance, the conveyance of the subparcel shall be completed. No conveyance shall be completed prior to the payment into the land acquisition fund of the town. And that the Mylars, the recorded Mylars have to have notes to that effect. It would
Right,
be the
so they
amount,
wouldn't be able to start a project or anything until that was complete.
right? And that would be the total amount divided by 3 in the last line. And then 9 through 12 are additional conditions requested by the town engineer.
So, Ann,
Yes,
so so divided by 3 means that the 3 parcel owners are responsible for the fee in lieu?
at conveyance of those parcels. So when they're sold,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
So we
prior
don't
to-
spell out who is doing it at conveyance, just that it has to be paid. And this is language directly from the ordinance. So whether the buyer pays it or whether the seller pays it, that's really up to the private land transaction.
and so just to be, get granular, who pays attention to this?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And that's why I added the second line.
That's
Sign
why it's
off by
also-
the
All
town
right,
planner is
all right.
required to transfer the parcels.
I'm reassured. Thank you, Ann.
Yep.
All right, so should we look at these additional conditions from the town engineer? Does anyone
Well,
wanna
number
read
9
through
was
them for
addressed
us?
by the surveyor.
Yeah. I'm not sure I understand number 10.
Well, so let's just read through them quickly. Number 9, the existing driveway where it will be shared from its intersection with Vineyard Point Road to where it splits. Lot 3 will be constructed a minimum width of 15. That was discussed during the application. The area of the right of way to lots 2 and 3 should be more clearly shown or labeled for the full length of the right of way. This right of way may need to be expanded to include the transformer shown on lot 1. Do you want to bring up that plan again, Ann?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I saw the transformer when I was looking at it.
Well, my the word I used just a minute ago is operative. It's granular.
It's more to the right.
Yeah, I can't seem to scroll up right now.
It's over there.
It's over there. If I can
Yeah.
to go over there. Yeah. How about we
Maybe
plan?
can the surveyor say where the transformer is?
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
There's a transformer.
There it is, says transformer right there, but right at the turn of the bend there.
Right, somewhere in here. Yep.
What it's saying is that you probably want to include that in the right of way so that everyone has access to it or is responsible.
Right away, it's the dotted line, or that's kind of around the driveway, right?
Yep.
All right.
Can
Do you have any?
can I just ask a clarifying question of Mark and the attorney? Have the lots been sold yet or not?
They can't sell it until they subdivide it.
Okay, and so, but they seem to have the footprints of the houses they plan to build.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
standard for
required.
site plans. You have to do a
Okay,
square
right.
footage box. It doesn't have to be like, if you notice all the other houses in that plan, they're oblong shaped, more like actual house plans, whereas these are just boxes showing square footage of a possible house size.
Okay.
Buildable box.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. Mark, did you have any issue? Did you have any issue with the stipulation of extending the right of way to include the transformer?
No, not at all. That's a good idea.
Okay. She's asking for a note on the plans that the right of way should be shared for access and easements for utilities. I'm assuming you don't have a problem with that.
That's fine.
And the utility line for 2 that crosses over lot 1 shall be relocated into the ROW, or an additional easement needs to be provided for that utility line.
Those are all good comments.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I do have a question on 11. So you're putting the responsibility of the last lot to pay for all the plowing for the access to lot 2 and lot 1, I guess? Is that what it says?
No, I don't think
Responsibility of the owner of the 3 lots, so.
It's
Oh,
no, of the
sorry.
owner of the 3 lots.
I misread it.
Yeah, she just wants it.
Of the-
kinda tiny.
Of the 3 lots, not 3
Yeah,
lots.
yeah.
Not the third lot.
I got it. I just misread it. Sorry.
She wants it to be stipulated that they have to share the plowing duties.
Right.
Well, what she's stipulating is that the town isn't plowing it.
Correct.
Right.
that's fine.
Okay, great. So just that, the only thing to discuss then is to confirm with commissioners here that before somebody reads off or somebody makes a motion, are we going to go with the 10% of the assessed value on the lot? Is that what I'm seeing from most everyone? Okay, so would someone like to make a motion on this application?
I would make the motion that we approve the subdivision for 413 Vineyard Point Road as set forth in the approval document.
The draft motion and per our discussion to this point.
Correct.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thanks, Roger. Right. Any discussion?
Do we want to add a specific clarification on the open space subdivision contribution?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we said was that it was 10% of the assessed value on the town, right? Which was 800 and something.
800.
If we can just add that, if we can just add that to the motion, we would add clarification, I think.
Yeah, she's got a line in there about it. She just has to basically
Put the
reword
dollars
it
in.
so that it
Okay.
has the correct dollar amount.
Great.
Yeah, so Robin, just pay attention.
Okay. All right. We have any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
and I'll also vote yes. All right.
Okay.
Next up, Ann.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item on the agenda is 77 Reeves Avenue, map 10, lot 203, zone R2. The applicant agent is R. Brian and Beth Nisteriak of B&B Engineering. On behalf of the owner, Beth Nisteriak, this is a special permit to reconstruct and enlarge an existing non-conforming single-family residence per section 8.2.e. You are hearing this tonight because of the the language in 8.2.e regarding enlargements and or reconstructions of non-conforming structures.
Okay. Who do we have here for this application?
Good evening, Brian Asteriak here.
Hi.
Hi, for the record, I'm a professional engineer and land surveyor with B&B Engineering. This house located at 77 Reeves, it's at the intersection of Reeves and North Reeves. It's in Indian Cove. It's an extremely small lot, about 2,500 square feet, and pretty much non-conforming in almost every way. The house was built before the 1920s. It's been in my wife's family since the 60s. We tried to renovate the house last fall, but once we got permits to do so, but once we gutted the house, there are so many structural deficiencies that the house is just too far gone to save. So we're trying to demolish the house, build a new one in the exact same place, the exact same size, the same bedrooms, some slight changes to the floor plan. But as part of this, and to get the house in compliance with codes and in just general best practice, we do have to raise the height of the house by about 10 feet. And obviously, just as Ann said, that this requires a special permit because it's non-conforming. The height will be conforming to the code or to the regulation in that zone or in its zone. But again, obviously, we need that special permit. There's a few factors of why we have to raise the height. We have to raise the first floor by about 2 feet just to get it up above the ledge. There's ledge everywhere in Indian Cove. And the existing house is just sitting on the dirt. That's one of the reasons we have the structural deficiency. So we got to raise that up. All the ceilings are 6.5 feet.
Yeah.
So we have to raise all of the ceilings to get typical heights. The whole house is supported by 2x6s. So just to get structure to hold up these floors, we have to raise it there. And then we are putting in a walk-up attic. It's walkable now. It's just going to be a little easier to walk up in. And when you add all those things up, we get to about 10 feet. Just to go back to the attic, it is unfinished. It's just for storage. We're not going to do anything up there for living space.
Brian, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to share?
It's up to you. I didn't know which way you wanted to do it. Whatever's easier.
Well, I'll share, and then if you want me to move, let me know.
Okay, sure.
Okay, this is the elevations of the new structure.
Right, so the top right corner is the elevation of the proposed house. It's very similar to what's there today, only there's also those windows are also on the second floor. And then obviously those are the side elevations. Again, it's exactly in the same place, exactly the same size. We did receive health approval. We have received wetlands approval. There's the proposed plan right there in the lower right-hand corner. Where you see the proposed dwelling is again exactly in the same place as the existing. The wetlands are down in the lower left-hand corner. It's about 50 feet away. Obviously, no impact to them. And like I said, we did get approvals from them. I think I'll leave it at that for now. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any items from town staff that we need to discuss, Ann, beyond what you mentioned? Any questions from commissioners?
Is it in a flood zone?
It is not. We're about 20 feet above the flood zone in elevation.
And also, you are raising it above the level it was before.
Correct, yes.
By 2 feet.
By about 2 feet. Right now, the existing floor structure is sitting on the dirt, which is a lot of the floor structure is rotted out because of that.
So
So
you're
we're just
making
trying
it
to
like
get
a true crawl space. You're going to make it a true crawl space.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a 18 inches to 2 foot crawl space under there. Because if we go down, we're definitely gonna hit ledge, and I don't want to hammer or blast.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Trying to
hope you
stay.
got little kids. They can get under there. No one else can.
I've crawled under there. It's not fun. But you can only get about halfway, and then there's just not enough room for anybody.
I like
So
the design.
How far from the high tide level are you? You're pretty far then.
We are a lot and a half away from the water, and
Okay.
it goes up. So we're probably, I'd say, 200 feet from mean high water.
Okay.
They're at elevation, between elevation 28 and 32, and the BFE for FEMA in this area is somewhere between 12 and 13. So they've
Okay.
got 10 feet of freeboard before
Okay. All right.
water gets to them.
You're good for 10 years.
Right.
All right. No other questions from commissioners, then we'll open it up for any comments from the public. Again, raise your hand through the platform. And seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you, Sean. I got a second from Phil. Any discussion?
I mean, it's the same footprint, it's the same size, it's just going up a little bit, as long as they're within the height restriction, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Neither.
I just don't see. It's basically the same house. You're just putting it back a little taller.
Well, they're building the house that they would build now, that was built.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Instead of it being, I'm guessing when you said 2x6s, you're saying true 2x6s that are actually 2 inches by 6 inches. If it was that long ago.
No, they're 1.5 by 5.5.
No, I bet you not.
Yeah. I bet it's good hardwood too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, also probably just good for the neighborhood in general to have, another similar house as opposed to a camp that got turned into a house. So, all right, seeing this, we have a motion and a second. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
yes,
Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
and I'll also vote yes. And anything we need to talk about related to stipulations in a potential approval?
I didn't put in any special conditions. It's just general condition boilerplate. So unless there's something you see, I didn't see any need to add anything.
Nope, just
I mean, unless there's any sedimentation and erosion control that's necessary, I mean.
I'm sure there was stipulations in the wetlands approval.
Okay.
Right, Ann?
They mimic our own in terms of soil erosion sedimentation control,
Got it, great.
but separate approval, so they have their own mechanisms for that.
Okay.
Have fun, Brian.
Would anyone like to make a motion to related to this application? We closed, we still need to motion whether we want to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Thanks, Ted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Sean. All right, motion approved based off the draft approval from town planner. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
All right.
and I will also vote yes. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the next item on the agenda is 501 Hart Road, map 111, lot 2, zone R8. The applicant agent, Greg Wanacor, on behalf of the owner of the Guilford Sportsman Association. This is a special permit to construct an accessory structure over 750 square feet.
Great. Who's representing the Guilford Sportsman? Yep, if you want to just unmute yourself. There you go.
All right, good evening, commissioners. My name is Greg Bonacore with Oak Leaf Restoration and Consulting. I'm with Paul Jacob, president of the association. The Guilford Sportsman Association is at the very end of Hart Road, which is off Route 80 in Guilford. This parcel, they own multiple parcels. This one's a 300 plus acres. It's really their main functioning complex. When I say that, they have a clubhouse. They have other shooting facilities like small houses for skeet and trap. What we'd like to do is construct a 60 by 40 metal Rhino storage shed. It's going to replace some existing, they have a couple connexes and other storage sheds on the property. They're not the best. The shed is mainly for storing clay targets. Clay targets come on 4x4 pallets. I believe there's like approximately 130 on a pallet. And if they buy in quantity, obviously they get good discounts. So they're looking to store up to 40 pallets when they buy this, a couple tractor trailer loads of it. This is just a storage shed. It has no it'll have a full foundation, or I say that, frost wall foundation on a full slab. Some garage doors, for access. Other than that, we went through inland wetlands. They were on the property a year or two ago for another small project they did. They came out with this to do another walkthrough. We got their blessings and we had it marked off. We had it surveyed. And we had some engineering, obviously comes with the metal building itself with Rhino, and we have an engineered foundation plan. So I'm not exactly sure, but the building will be approximately in the middle of this acreage.
Any
I can
plumbing?
share
Yeah, you want to bring that up, Ann?
what we have. We don't have a real site plan, but we have a sketch of one.
Okay. Any plumbing planned for the building?
No, there'll be no utilities at all.
And do we require an actual site plan? I mean, a real site plan?
That's really up to staff to determine. I figured since this was in the middle of a 300-acre parcel that I was okay with plus or minus.
I believe it does say in the code that we can accept
Request.
it without a site plan.
Right. Or request. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting rid of all those
Yes.
boxes and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
the picture right there, that's approximately where it's going to go. You see the two cones in the front.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be front of the building. It'll go approximately to the end of the shed that's there now.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, are the what are the skeet or the trap projectile, are they stacked on top of each other, or are they just all on the ground in the shed?
No, these are on pallets. So there's
Right. So is it one pallet tall, two pallet? I mean, is it?
No, they can't be stacked. So there's probably 6 rows of boxes tall on each pallet. They can't be stacked on top of, so it'll just be a single row of each pallet.
To like 150 pallets? Just out of curiosity.
No, we're looking for like 2 tractor trailer loads, so you figure between 40 to 44.
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? All right, I'll open up to anyone from the public that wants to make a comment? Seeing none. I'll entertain a motion from commissioners to close the public hearing on this item.
So moved.
Second,
Motion the second. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes,
Bill Freeman,
yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes,
Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
and I'll also vote yes. And anything to discuss related to stipulations in your proposed motion?
No, it's all standard boilerplate.
All right. Can I hear a motion from Commissioner?
Can I just mention boilerplate
Sure.
is always good?
Yep,
It is.
agreed. All right, do I have a motion from commissioners on this application?
Ted, I think you have it in front of you, correct?
yep, yeah, I'll make the motion.
Do you think?
You're very well
So-
prepared tonight.
Motion to approve based off of the
Ted, your printer is getting its exercise.
Oh, my printer worked all afternoon. I mean, and set it up and I printed it out.
do we have a motion? I'm sorry, do we have a second?
Second from Bill.
Thank you, Bill. All right, motion and a second to approve. Do we have a discussion? Phil,
they said they want to bring in 44 pallets, right? Roughly.
Per
Yes.
truck.
Pallets are 16 square feet, that's 764 square feet. But we're building a 2,400 square foot building.
Well, we have also we have machines, the different machines that throw the clay birds, that they'll use that space to store some. There's some other garden equipment, if you wish, that if we have the space, we have archery targets to store. So again, it's all storage. So it's not strictly for clay pigeons.
So you're basically using this so you can get rid of all the little other buildings and have one consolidated.
For as
Clean
long as I've
things
been
up.
in the club, these Connex boxes and truck bodies are down in that area. And it's an opportunity because we actually have a benefactor that is donating a building for us. And I want to see that area cleaned up, landscaped, so that it's more attractive to the members and any potential new members.
probably makes it
Thank you.
safe. Probably makes it safer in general as well, right?
Absolutely.
Great. All right. Motion is second to approve. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes,
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
So vote yes. Thanks. Good luck to you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
gentlemen and lady.
Our next item on the agenda is 912 Dunk Rock Road, map 7, lot 2104, zone R8. The applicant owner is Andrew Larkins. This is a special permit for conversion of existing structure into an ADU located within the front yard.
All right. And this is coming to us and because it's greater than 750 square feet, even though it's
No.
existing.
So this is an interesting case, now the first of many, I think, where folks have, in this case, Mr. Larkins has an existing structure on a very large lot in the R8 zone that he's been living in. He wants to build a brand new primary residence. So he's switching what is the primary structure on the residence to an ADU, secondary to the new primary residence. This ADU will be located in between the front facade of the new structure and the street, and that requires a special permit from the commission.
Okay. Andrew, you wanna present?
Hello, Commission. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. I'm Andrew Larkins, 912 Dunk Rock Road. I bought 912 Dunk Rock as a wooded lot back in 2017. It was a kind of a dream opportunity for me, and it took me a year to clear the lot. And as a single guy at the time, paying for a lot when I should have been buying my first home, I was on a tight budget, and as a single bachelor, 3-car garage with a living space above it seemed pretty awesome, and it has been awesome. So that is what I'm living in now. Fast forward 5 years, I'm married and have our firstborn on the way, so it seems time to start building the house. So here I am. So I go through the design, and when I first bought the lot and applied for, my building permit for my structure that I'm living in now, I always envisioned the house as being detached, it being a 5-acre parcel. It's got the room to set 2 structures nicely to complement each other. And so I always envisioned the house being detached from what I am living in and what I built originally. So through architecture, I toyed with connecting them, but it still didn't feel right. So stay with the original idea of having 2 separate dwellings and building the primary house as a detached structure, and apply for my building permit. And I've recently been educated on accessory dwelling codes, and here I am. So I am with the new house, like Ann said, I will be converting what I'm living in now to an accessory dwelling. In that being, it would be set forward from my proposed house as I always kind of planned, which requires special permitting. So.
Right.
So in this plan, the one that says house is the current garage with the apartment that will become the accessory structure, and then the proposed house is to the right.
And where is the street? Where would people see?
Out here,
So the street is really like
down here.
Yeah, so it's accessed through a long common right of way. I tried questioning what the front yard is here, because I'm not technically on the street. So we are on a long common, private right of way. So the street, the street is technically down by Bishop's Fields. Yeah.
Right. So this is the
Well, if you look
yard.
if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you get a sense of the whole parcel.
Can I ask what is the size of the original structure versus the proposed new house?
So the structure
Square footage is on there if you want to zoom in.
Yeah, there's the zoning table. I mean, the table is on the bottom. What I'm living in now is I'm living in roughly 1,100 square feet on the second floor, and the first floor is a 3-car garage, which is basically just 1 car is in one garage and the other 2 are kind of storage. And my proposed house with the garage is a little bit north of 4,000 square feet. But I'm within all my zoning, it's on 5 acres, so I'm within all my zonings and setbacks.
Yeah, it looks like it was only 2% building coverage there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I
This
guess
is-
my point is that although the existing structure would be in the quote front yard, this lot is so secluded, it's really kind of hard to figure out what's the harm of having something in the front yard.
Yeah, I think Ann looks like it was just, we got to make a determination of what's front and what's back for every lot, right? And I think that's just where this came from.
Well,
Right,
there's a line in the ADU ordinance, and I'll read it to you. it's 3.9A2. The second point where it says the detached accessory dwelling unit shall not be located in the existing front yard between the principal dwelling unit and the street unless reasonably screened from the street and specifically approved by the commission as part of a special permit application.
Right.
So that's why he's
that's why
here.
we're here.
So is there, this is Larry Rizzo. So is there woodland between the house and the street? Would the house be visible from the street?
The house is not visible from the street.
And if you show the upper corner of that map, it kind of gives the perspective of where the road is. And
And was there any, there's nothing else about the current residence that would disqualify it from being an ADU, right?
No, he meets the square footage requirements, and it's just, you will be seeing a lot, or maybe not seeing a lot of these, but we are getting a lot of applications where people have a larger lot and they are taking advantage of the ADU, the as of right part of the ordinance, in that they are keeping their small structures and then saying, we want to swap the principal residence with the accessory structure and build a new principal one. So this is the first one you're seeing of this, just because of the front yard problem.
Right.
But this is a good thing because it gives us more small unit, possibly affordable housing options within the town.
Right.
correct.
But if I remember correctly, the ADU does have a maximum before they have to come to us. Is that correct?
No, he's only
Well,
coming to you because of the
No, I
front
know.
issue.
You're just
1,200
mentioning
square feet.
other applications. Like if somebody had a house that was 2,400 square feet, they can't do that. There's a
They
maximum
can't do that.
for.
Its maximum for the ADU is 1,200 square feet.
All I wanted to say was that if somebody's watching this, your neighbor's not going to turn their huge house into an ADU. That's all. I wanted to make sure people understood. Okay. Any other questions from commissioners?
Well, and I think the other thing is that this lot is very secluded. And it's not visible from the street. And, if somebody got a house on State Street and they want to put make that existing house into an ADU and build a bigger house in back of it, that's a whole different matter than this one, which is out in the woods.
Yep, for sure. All right. I'd open up to the public for any comments based off this application. Yes, Jeffrey Klugman, you want to state your name and address for the record after you've unmuted? There you go.
Yeah, I'm Jeffrey Klugman. My address is 918 Dunk Rock Road. I'm the immediate abutter. Actually, I can explain a little bit about the geography here if you want. Basically, Andrew's lot and our lot are totally interior and have no frontage on the road. If you recall that little diagram that was in the upper corner, there were two large interior lots, that's him and me, and then there were three somewhat smaller lots that actually do front on Dunk Rock Road. Dunk Rock Road ends there, and then there's a private drive that's a 1/4 mile long that goes to my house and Andrew's house. And it's all wooded. And we have no problem with the location of the soon-to-be ADU. And I just wanted to let you know that, as the immediate abutter, most exposed to it, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Excellent.
It's always nice to have neighbors back you up.
Right.
All right. Anyone else from the public that has a comment? All right. Seeing none other, I'd entertain a motion to close the public application.
So moved.
Public. All right. Thanks, Sean. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh man, somebody said that without me even hearing. I think it was Roger,
Bill.
though, right? Oh, Larry
Either
did. I heard
We
it. I
all
just
did.
I didn't see somebody's mouth move. Okay. I have a motion to close. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
And I will also vote yes. All right, and anything on any stipulations that we need to discuss on the proposed application or proposed motion?
No, just all standard conditions of approval.
All right, would the commissioner like to make a motion on this
I
application?
will, I'll do that. Scott, I'd like to move that the special permit for 912 Dunk Rock Road as submitted by Andrew Larkins be approved as per the permit documents and conditions so noted in the draft approval from the town planner.
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ted. Any discussion? Yep. I mean, we want ADUs in this town. That's why we made the regulations the way we did. So this is just a formality, it seems like. So sorry about that, Andrew, for
It's all
getting
good. And
caught
I'm
in the
not
middle of
even
that.
trying to have an ADU, so it's just kind of a unique one here. So,
That's fair.
but
Yeah.
thank you guys.
All right. Let's see. We have a motion and a second. Larry Rizzola,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
And I'll also vote yes. Thank you. Good luck to you, Andrew.
Good luck.
Andrew, thank you for abiding by the regulations. It follows all the rules, and you did everything right.
Thank you.
And then,
It was
and
quite
good luck-
frustrating when I first went in and thought that as long as I'm meeting my setbacks, I'm good, but it's a learning experience and I'm better educated for it. So
Well,
everyone's been super helpful. So thank you.
well,
good luck. Good luck finding an excavator.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Or a framer.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right,
Okay,
and
Mr.
is that the end of the public hearing portion of
That
our
is the
meeting?
end of the public hearing portion. We're moving on to the regular meeting. Our first item on the regular agenda is 413 Vineyard Point Road, map 4, lot 45, zone R5. Agent Mark Young of Waldo and Associates on behalf of the owner of the Benton Family Irrevocable Trust. This is the site plan and coastal site plan review for the redevelopment of this site. So you've already seen this. This was tabled at the last meeting, so we need to remove it from the table.
All right, do we have a motion to remove from the table?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil.
I'll second.
Wow, everybody wants a second today. I like it. I like the energy. All right, we have a motion and a second. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes. Thank you. Any additional information that we need to discuss, Anne, from
No,
the
it
previous
looks like,
discussion?
looks like the applicant has left, so nothing really changed. The report is standard boilerplate with the same conditions that we placed on the subdivision plan.
Are we entertaining a motion for both site plan and CAM, or are we doing it
Yes.
separately?
You can do it together.
All right, would Commissioner want to make a motion on this application?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you, Sean. Second from Philip Johnson. I'm just trying to keep up with my notes. 1 second.
Philip, you didn't actually say what you were moving.
Oh,
I was moving
geez.
to second Sean's motion.
Yeah, it's actually
Okay.
Sean that didn't make the
Wasn't
motion properly.
Sorry, Sean.
But you
Oh,
did.
You
sorry.
would
Yeah.
do a friendly amendment to your own motion there?
Sean, are you motioning to approve based off the proposed motion prepared by the town planner?
I am.
Okay, and Phil, are you going to second that one?
I am.
All right, perfect, great. Any discussion? All right, let's see here. We have a motion and a second to approve. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes. Next item.
Next item is 891 Boston Post Road, map 47, lot 4, zone PRB1. The applicant agent is AFT Guilford LLC on behalf of the owners, Juan C. and Gary S. Knowles. This is a site plan review for a new physical fitness establishment.
All right. Do we have anyone here for this application?
Good evening, it's Gareth Wilson from BL Companies, representing my client this evening.
Great.
I have,
You wanna if you want to share your screen, or Anne can
Hmm.
share her screen with
yeah, if
upcoming
I could share
information?
my screen, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, it's disabled for me at the moment.
Okay, just a moment. Let me
Thanks, Anne.
change that for you.
Okay,
Okay, try it now.
hopefully
There
that's
you go.
on the screen. Excellent. So our site is 891 Boston Post Road. There's actually two buildings on it at the moment, the Place Restaurant and the existing vacant old coffee shop. It's directly opposite the Shoreline Plaza. What we were originally proposed was an addition to the existing building. Should I just go to the survey? But as it's in a floodplain, we weren't actually able to add on to the side of the building as we first wanted to. The cost of that is over 50% allowed by FEMA. Therefore, we needed to demolish and rebuild and raise the building up out of the floodplain. So part of that has been I just go to the building, is to demolish the existing building and then build the larger proposed gym. As it's raised, we need to provide ADA access. So we have a ramp starting at the rear of the building from the ADA space, coming up around the side, along the front, and then we've added steps in the front as well for ease of access to the front of the property and connected to the front sidewalk. Overall, we've been trying to keep it to the disruption to a minimum. We've got we've managed to get the proposed impervious to match existing. And that's mainly accomplished by trimming various areas around the side of curb lines, bringing them in, putting them out to compensate, and also putting the parking lot in from the right-hand side here. Overall, there's not much of a change except for the larger building. A few changes to the parking lot, in the curb line, like I mentioned, and then regrading of the ADA spaces to make them compliant with the grading requirements. The other problem we faced with building in the floodplain is that we're actually taking up some flood storage volume. So we had to provide compensatory storage for that. We do that at the rear of the property in this area in the back corner. If I just jump to that plan, give you a bit of detail on that. Basically, we have to provide equivalent storage, if not more, at each 1 foot interval, which we've had. So overall, with this excavation along the rear here, we're adding 182 cubic yards of extra storm volume. So an improvement in the site for flooding. Sediment and erosion control, again, there's not much excavation here. We're keeping the existing drainage, everything sheet flows off to the right and rear. Sediment erosion control, we're lining everything with straw backed straw baled silt fence around the rear, side, and front, and then silt fence over to the left-hand side between the Place Restaurant. We got our FOD units for vehicle tracking over the top, concrete washout pit, and then stockpile over to the side. And then landscaping plan, we're taking away a few shrubs at the front, replacing with 2 trees, 1 front, 1 rear, and just adding a mix of different shrubs, bushes all along the front, and a little bit of long decorative grass as well. The lighting plan, we're keeping the existing exterior lighting fittings in the parking islands here, and then adding lighting to the building. So overall, not a lot of change there either.
What type of lights are you proposing? Full cutoffs and everything?
Yes.
So the drainage is off to the north, correct?
Yes, we've got wetlands here. If you can see this, if I just highlight it, that might help. Line here. So everything slopes to the north.
Yeah.
Wetlands there, and again along the side here. So we went to wetlands and got approval back in July. So enable us to move forward and meet with yourselves this evening. Everything sheet flows at the moment off to the rear eventually. There's a curb cut here. Sheet flows off these spaces here to the corner.
And is there any public drainage that is on your property, or is that all on Route 1?
There's no public drainage on our property now.
Okay.
We'll go to site plan.
Just, can you point out the septic quickly?
Oh yes, the septic here is in the front. So existing septic tanks here, and then we have trenches here.
Just, I'm sure you're probably aware historically that's kind of been an issue there.
It has been. We've been back and forth quite a bit on this one with the septic. Finally, I believe we are getting approval from the sanitarian there this week. But we were able to unpick all the problems there and confusion over records. But we've got
good luck.
The space is called Anytime Fitness, but what do you have an idea what the hours are going to be for this?
I don't offhand, no.
Mostly the question.
Is this going to be a 24-hour fitness facility?
I can't say for certain. I'm not too sure
if I may interject, when they came in for their pre-application meeting, the gentleman who owns the business did indicate that it was available 24 hours to members.
Yeah,
okay.
You have like a key fob to get in.
Yeah,
right. So I'm assuming that there's plenty of parking for the use here, and the only question I have is, have you guys talked to the place about the parking issues in that area in general? If you haven't, you probably should, because right now a lot of people that are going to that restaurant use this parking lot. And
that situation is remedied already because the applicant for this project owns the place.
So then they are already talking to each other. Great.
I'm sure they talk to each other.
I talk to myself all the time.
Yeah. I don't agree with myself, but
any other questions from commissioners?
No, just only a comment, Scott, that I think for perspective, for the commissioners that may not have been on the commission prior to this application, that I'm not sure it was the prior owner, or I'm not sure what it was, but they were asking for a drive-through. And I think this is a more appropriate use for this property.
In general, nice to see the property being used after many years of it not being used.
Yep, I agree.
Well, wasn't it a Starbucks originally?
It sure was. Then Sweet Frog.
Sweet Frog, and then it's been nothing for years.
The Starbucks ran into, as I mentioned earlier, some real septic issues. So that was the end of that.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners? Thanks for sharing your screen. Sir, if you could unshare. No other questions to commissioners, it seems like, so I'll entertain a motion related to this application.
I'll move approval of the application based on the site plan review draft for 891 Boston Post Road as prepared by the town planner.
All right, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second. Bill.
Thanks, Bill. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
Roger Joyce,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we have a number of items for discussion under other business. The first item was the set of emails received from David Holman. We deferred the discussion on this item last month to this month because we had a number of key absences, most importantly yourself as chair. As you may recall, we got a series of emails from Mr. Holman requesting that the commission take up his request to redefine medical clinic, medical offices, and medication-assisted treatment under the zoning ordinance. To clarify, he is not requesting a text amendment. He is requesting that the commission take up a text amendment.
So here's my
So-
question, Ann. Do we vote on whether we take up the text amendment ourselves? Is that the first thing we discuss?
I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
mostly,
discussion to be had.
it's mostly the discussion is to discuss whether we feel that we want to take up an amendment that would be related to this proposal. Everyone's, and everyone's been made aware of the emails, correct? And what was being asked, correct?
Yeah.
And I also had Ann take run it past our town council to see if there was any issues in terms of problems with the application, the proposal based off of state statutes or anything like that. So we ran it through that as well. Any comments?
I have a reaction here, Scott. I took the time to read through the submitted documentation with regard to what Hartford did with regard to their changes in language and the many reviews from other agencies such as the Capital Region COG. I find it interesting and maybe useful for us to consider what Mr. Holman calls a vague definition of medical use with regard to the fact that the broad definition, let's say that we have, simply may benefit from a more specific approach. For instance, a medical office is a very different use than a medical clinic, with lots of implications in terms of traffic flow and the like. So just in general, without getting into all the details, I think that work that Hartford did was pretty intense and extensive and certainly of value to that community. I'm not convinced it's particularly useful in our town, but I think the work they did was I thought well done and just interesting. It may be useful for us to consider that definition of medical use, however that may turn out.
Yeah, one of the looking through, I think not only just looking through the definitions between medical clinics and medical offices and that sort of thing, but also just looking through our use table in general. When we were updating the regulations, one of the points we went through to make sure was to look and see if it was consistent or not. And my initial reaction is mostly from we don't really get into this level of definition in any other part of the use table. So this would be kind of above and beyond or different than what we have done to this point. And I'm not sure if that's, something we want to entertain at this time, but again, this is why we're talking about it. So any other ideas from commissioners?
Well, I
Ted?
think.
We'll go to Ted first and then Larry.
Well, I mean, I take Scott's point. I think in a large municipality like Hartford, it may make sense to sort out these definitions much more finely. But for us, I think what we have in place is fine. I mean, I just don't see that we need to go to this level of detail. And I am concerned that given that there has been so much rancor over this particular project, I continue to be a little concerned that this proposal is somehow related to a way of blocking the existing approved project. I don't know how they would do that, but I'm worried about that issue.
Yeah, again, for me, it's more along the lines of just the specificity isn't something that we've done to this point in the use table. And something that we've been trying to do with updating the regulations is trying to be consistent as much as possible.
Right.
Larry, what do you
Yeah,
have?
I think Mr. Holman has valid concerns. If this level of detail were in place, perhaps there'd be a different outcome for that methadone clinic. And that's really what they're reacting to. They don't want to see another methadone clinic or substance abuse clinic unless it meets certain criteria, distance from schools and neighborhoods and such. And I can understand why the community, the local community was upset with not having adequate input into that proposal. And I think this is trying to remedy some of that. It's trying to say a substance abuse clinic is different from other kinds of clinics, and that it would be reasonable, therefore, to make that distinction. Maybe not the three distinctions that West Hartford or Hartford did, but to make this second distinction, I think is worthy of discussion.
Bill.
Two things. I'm not quite sure why why it's being foisted upon us to make to write this up, so to speak. If they wanted to do that, they should have gone through normal channels where they would bring the text amendment to the commission as they wanted it written and do it themselves.
Which is an option that they could pursue.
Of course.
I think at this point, this was just how they chose to go the direction they chose to go.
And secondly, I appreciate Larry's perspective, but I think that it's not our purview to decide which things are appropriate in communities like this, whether a methadone clinic or a dog grooming place. I mean, it either falls within the table or it doesn't. And I don't really feel it's a good practice for us to start parsing things out into such fine little things to satisfy a small majority of the people that have come forward.
Yes, Phil.
Sorry, I have to disagree with that. I mean, I honestly think that this is a little bit different, and that in some respects, if we can provide more clarity for people who are developers and the like, again, we've talked about that on other stuff in terms of being transparent. That if there are concerns, and again, it warrants discussion, that if we can provide clarity as opposed to ambiguity, that's a good thing. And again, we can't fix it
Yeah.
all at once, but we can fix it a little bit at a time.
Sure. The other part of this that worries me in terms of getting into specifics for what a use can be or can't be is what happened to us when we were doing the special permits for the fairgrounds. And for a long time, those special permits had a list of activities that were available, like allowed to be done on the fairgrounds. And so many times they came back to us being like, well, what about this activity? And what about that activity? And I worry about trying to create a list saying that only these things are allowed in this area versus I don't feel like a list like that is something that we can maintain in any sort of way because things change over time. That's the only thing I struggle with on that. Like I understand what you're saying, Phil. It's just that's the other part of me is like, well, how do we toe the line between getting more specific but not getting too specific and putting ourselves into a box either?
Yeah, Scott, I agree. I think Phil uses a very good word, clarity, but clarity can mean different things to different people, and it can mean more specificity than we want in our regulations. I mean, if we get too granular, we're going to just box people into certain uses that we're going to be challenged on over and over again.
Well, we're just asking for a special permit, right? We're not.
That is what might have to be required. But being too specific is just not the right answer.
Larry, it's a text. What they're talking about is a text amendment where we would change the use table.
So it would just be for that particular zone in that particular case.
No, they're asking for a text amendment to the definitions, not to any specific zone. It's a
right, but it affects the use table because wherever it says medical clinic or whatever, it would affect the definition.
So I mean, we're talking about the petitions for us to change are about a use in a zone, a specific, very specific use in a zone.
Wouldn't we? Yeah. And if we made a text definition change, then we would have to go back through the tables though, right?
Yes, and then you'd
So
have
it's not
to
just
decide,
as simple.
Right, so you would change the definition and simultaneously you'd have to go back through all the zones and say, where do those definitions apply or where do they don't apply? I think Mr. Holman made some very specific requests as to where those definitions apply. And you can see that in his original petition. But he's asking you to do the legwork.
It would have more ramifications though too than just that one location, that one part of the code.
Yes.
Hey, so Ann, I'm going to put you on the spot, which I am prone to do. What do our regulations say? What does our code say about responding to petitions?
It's silent. And I will admit, when I first got this, I thought Mr. Holman was proposing a text change himself, and he corrected me on that. Any person, any citizen of Guilford can propose their own text amendment and do the legwork that's required with that. What he's asking for here is that the Planning and Zoning Commission itself take up a text amendment with the definitions as provided by him.
And so we can, by code, ignore him, or we can take him up on his suggestions and consider it.
So
I
you're
wouldn't-
really, your two options here would be, if you're inclined to explore this further, you could give me specific instructions regarding creating a text amendment, or you could decide as a commission that this is not something you want to take up, and you could essentially decide among yourselves that this is where it ends.
All right, so I think we should have further discussion about this. I mean, you know, it's. I don't want to get into regulation
writing
text tonight. I think we should consider this further.
I don't understand why we're really considering this.
Exactly.
I just don't think this is necessary for us. I think that for a town the size of Hartford, maybe when you get to that size of an urban area, it makes sense to slice these definitions up and be a lot more specific. But I think for us, this is overkill, and I just don't understand why we're spending a lot of time on it.
So, Ann, I have a question.
like to-
So let's say,
I'd like
If I
to
just say-
discuss a little, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
I would just as soon have a, do we need to vote? Is that what the case is?
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest making a motion on the record and voting.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we do not take this up.
I'll
And-
second that motion.
Before
Call
we
the
get
vote.
to that, I'm sorry, what?
Call the
Call-
vote.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second to basically decline to take up this text amendment. Larry, did you have anything to say in the discussion of our motion and second?
Yeah, that this is a substance abuse clinic is substantially different from other medical uses because of the clientele it might bring in. And so that would be the valid reason in my mind for parsing this.
All right. So
Parsing it
Larry,
into three
Larry,
things.
let me just say, the evidence is pretty sparse, if non-existent, that any incidents have happened at other.
I mean, it's fine to have
Just,
opinion, though. I mean, that I respect the opinion that you think we should. That's fine with me. I don't think this is.
Yeah, but
doesn't have to be consensus. It's,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be consensus.
That's why we're
No,
that's
that's
why we're
right.
discussing this.
That's right.
I just like to get to the vote, and if it goes the other way, fine.
All right.
Can I make one more comment? I slip in one
Yeah,
more.
Roger, go for it.
I've been pondering your comment, your reaction to my opening remarks with regard to the use table and the fact that we're talking about a very specific piece of language here on this particular medical use that wouldn't would be inconsistent with the practice of having broader definitions in every other place in the table, essentially. So I agree with a consistent approach in the use table, because if not, if we make a change here, I think we could be facing, we could be opening the Pandora's box for every other use to we may get all sorts of requests for changes in every other category. So I'm concerned about that, and I'm not feeling the usefulness of making a change as Mr. Holman is suggesting.
And I'll just finally say, I do think that we can, the concerns are real, but it is in the minority of what the voices we've heard from.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to decline to take up a text amendment. Larry Rizzolo.
No.
All right, Roger Joyce.
Could you restate that? Did I hear a double
We're
negative?
voting, a yes means you want to decline to take up a text amendment, and no means you do not want to decline.
Thank you. Yes, fine.
All right, Ted Sands,
Yes.
Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
No.
Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes.
Okay.
Next item.
Next item, we have a, if I could, I'm just gonna share my screen really quick. We have an interpretation item that we need some direction on that I will put on the list for changes. But if you see here, we have a definition of projection in the ordinance. Any building element attached to a building and extending beyond the face of the building wall, including a whole host of things.
Ed, would you mind expanding that a little bit?
Making it bigger?
Yeah, a little more. Okay, that's good.
Yep. What's happening is that normally, and I think this is probably an oversight in the ordinance, that projection would be interpreted in relation to a setback line. But we have not tied the definition to a setback, so we have other in our use tables. Let me go back and get them. You'll see, just for example, in the R1 zone, where is it? Gotcha. Maybe it's not in this one. I gotta find one.
Yeah, maximum building projection in feet. It's right there, number 8.
Number 8. Okay, yeah. So in R1.
So does the projection only have to do with setback?
Well, no. This is the thing. We could interpret this 2 ways, and the ordinance is not clear. We could interpret it that any projection on a building cannot exceed 3 feet. Or the more normal way to interpret this in terms of a zoning ordinance is that a projection over a setback line cannot be more than 3 feet. So what I'm asking you is, which way do you want us to interpret this?
Well,
and I will come back and fix it.
I would think that you wouldn't
say that again.
I would think that you would not want a setback, a projection to go over a
Encroach
setback.
on a setback.
So there are 2 ways to interpret this. One is that no projection in the R1 zone, in this case, can exceed 3 feet anywhere. So your chimney can't be, if it's suspended above the ground, can't be more than 3 feet off the face. Let me see what else.
So you're saying a projection in any direction?
In any direction.
I think as long as your projection is inside the setback, you're fine. Might be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Doesn't matter whether it's 3 feet or 5 feet, as long as you're within the setback, that's fine.
Okay.
Are we saying that this number? So the question then is, are we saying that this number, in this instance, 3 feet, are we saying that you can project 3 feet over the setback? Because that would be the reason why
you have to be inside of the setback. You can't encroach upon the setback.
Right.
Well, then what's the reason for having this in the table?
Right.
Why? What's the 3 feet?
So
yeah, then it's 3 feet has
it's a magic number.
No, it's because if our interpretation of projection is that it's fine if you're within the setback, then the whole reason of having this line in the requirements is saying you can do 3 feet past the setback projection. That's the whole reason why it's there.
Or the alternate.
Bill, what do you have to say, Bill?
Go ahead, Bill.
So in my past experiences, sometimes projections have been allowed to go over the setback line if they were not associated with the foundation. So you could have, a
bay window, like a bay window, for instance.
Deck.
Sure.
Except, I'll bring this up again. Our definition includes all of those things.
I know, but I think you're right, Scott, that it should just taken out, that it makes
If
no
we're
sense.
not gonna let you project over the setback, then there's no reason to have the line in there at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Is basically what I'm saying.
Scott, I actually, if we can remove a regulation, I'm all for it.
Sean, you're consistent.
So we just want to know how you would like us to interpret this. In the meantime, before I have a chance to actually do the text change to clarify.
I'll just ask the commissioners, why is this in here?
It's probably because there's some tight lots in town, and some people might want to have eaves that are 3 feet instead of 1 foot, and their lot might be so tight that their eve would extend past the setback.
But where did it come from? I mean, why is
probably exactly what Scott said?
It came from literally
somebody
what I
wanted
just
their
said.
eve.
Yeah,
and then somebody said, well, let's write this in there.
Right.
Well,
Let them take it to the zoning board of appeals if they have a problem with it.
Look, as I understand that where we are, as long as the projection doesn't go over the line, who cares whether it's 3 feet or 5 feet?
Except that the ordinance says in almost all zones that projections can only be 3 feet and it's not tied to a setback at all. So things like an areaway, a shading device, a fire escape can only project 3 feet, which I'm thinking for fire escapes doesn't even meet code.
Correct. That's not our intention.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
I can say definitively that that's not our intention.
Why do we have this 3 feet in there? That's what.
Again, I think it's what's not stated in there very clearly is they meant to say 3 feet projecting over a setback line.
Right.
Is what they meant to write in there, and they didn't. And I don't know, Ann, if you looked at the old code, it might describe it a little bit better where that came from, because I'm pretty sure that's where it
I
came
think
from.
Phil's comment about the ZBA is the correct avenue for something like that, correct?
Yeah, it sounds like most of the commissioners here don't even want you to extend over the setback at this point, so we might as well just take it out.
Yeah, I agree.
Take it out.
And have you interpret it that way till that point.
Interpret it as if no projections. We aren't.
Well, we're not restricting.
You can't project into the setback.
We're not restricting
Exactly.
projections as long as they're within the setback.
That's it. Yeah. No, Phil stated.
And if they aren't within the setback, are we regulating them?
Well, I mean, who wants to drive around town to see if we're going to create a non-conformity?
So that and you know what? Welcome to Guilford, Abigail. So that if that is the new one, you're going to have. You won't have too much work cut out for you because I don't think you're going to encounter this very much. But I think that's the right way to go.
Okay. Abby, are you good on that one?
Enough information, at least for now.
And what prompted you to look into that? The previous applicant with the deck and the projection and the whole thing?
I think we had a number of air conditioners that were on small or mini splits on some very small lots. And that was a problem. And I'd interpreted it both ways. So I was like, well, we need some consistency here.
So if someone wanted to put
I'm telling you guys this happens more than you think it does.
Really?
Already. And I think if we change this, it's going to create a non-conformity, but who am I? We can look into it.
So is it mostly downtown?
It's the
Wherever
small
there's small
lot.
lots.
It's the R1 and
I mean,
R2.
look at the size of the lot we saw tonight. It was like 2,500.
Yeah, true.
So
Yeah,
would they then
we're
go
talking
to the ZBA to get approval? If they wanted to put a mini split outside of the, setback, would they then go?
Generally,
Well, outside is fine. Inside,
You know what I mean, over the
you
line.
got the outside right.
over the line, what I had interpreted previously was that, well, mini splits don't count because they are not in this definition. But if it was a balcony, my interpretation up until this point was as long as it was under 3 feet, you were good.
All right.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the next one because this is an evolving situation. I'm just very quickly gonna go over this. For Great Hill Commons, which is the second lot within Great Hill Commons, we had a situation where the owner of that property put in for building permits and zoning permits, didn't wait till they were approved, and placed a above ground swimming pool within the front yard, 50-yard front setback. We discovered it on a site visit for something else. Abby issued a notice of violation. She had 30 days to remove the pool from the front setback and come into compliance with her building and zoning permits. She hadn't done that. So on Monday, we issued a cease and desist, and we were coming to you tonight to request that we be allowed to start issuing the $150 a day fine. I understand from Sean that the pool as of today was removed. We have not confirmed that in the field, but yeah, so I guess the request would be that we would like to still have the ability to fine in case something else goes radically wrong with this project. This property owner, we have spent more time with her and her contractor than like 25 other permits combined, and getting them to understand that setbacks are important has been a challenge over the last month. I will just say that.
I guess I'm a little reluctant to open an open checkbook to start finding them if they've removed the pool. If there are other specific violations that you've given them an NOV on, I would be okay with it, but just kind of a blank, yeah, you can start finding them if something else pops up, I'm a little uncomfortable with.
I think what I'm concerned with is that because they placed the pool without permits to begin with and placed the pool within the front setback, my confidence of their ability to actually place the pool in a code compliant location in a code compliant way is of concern, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can I ask a basic question here? I mean, if we have a zoning enforcement officer and somebody does something like this, which is clearly in violation of regulation, and you give them notice and you give them a reasonable period of 10 days or 2 weeks or something to come into compliance, and they don't do it, do you have to come back to the commission and ask our permission to start fining them?
Yes.
Well, I don't understand why that should be.
It's part of the town, it's codified in the Town of Guilford Code of Ordinances that we need permission. The ZEO needs permission from the Planning and Zoning Commission to begin fining.
So they've got, so if they put this pool back up tomorrow, they've got until we meet again.
No. I'm saying that for the notice of violation that we've already issued on the pool, if they put it back up, I'm good to go. But we can't just open checkbook or open fine book.
I think
for
what
any
Phil's
other
suggesting,
potential zoning
right.
violation
No,
that they haven't been noticed on.
No, I agree with that, but what I'm saying is, let's say that somebody else does something as egregious as this, and the zoning enforcement officer says, look, you got 10 days to clear this up, and they just thumb their nose at her, and so she can't do anything until we meet again, right?
That's correct.
So my question is then, and to kind of alleviate what Ted's concern is can we retroactively fine based off of when your cease and desist and like the timeline in your cease and desist ended? So like if that was a week ago or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. I think in this case, we gave her a notice of violation. She had 30 days to comply. She didn't, so we escalated, we issued the cease and desist on Monday. And we've been told the pool's been removed. So I'm okay. I mean, we don't need the ability to fine at this point, but if something goes haywire, we'll be back next month to request something
I'll
else.
be the first to back you.
If we have to do a special meeting, then so be it, but
Yeah.
that's complicated too, to try to publicly notice a special meeting anyway, so.
Right.
Who claims that the pool was removed?
Sean.
Sean talked to his sister who lives next door. Is that correct, Sean?
Correct.
And is Sean a trustworthy source?
No.
Sean's sister, in fact, not Sean.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. That was very gracious.
Okay, I'm going to request that we move on.
All right.
In reviewing the application for Vineyard Point Road, I noticed that there are some really strong inconsistencies between the current subdivision regulations and our new zoning regulations. I talked to Glenn about this a couple weeks ago, and I said, why didn't we update the subdivision regulations at the same time as the zoning regulations? And he said there was all kinds of political background that he didn't have time to go into. My question to the commission is, would you like to ask me to go back and start the subdivision update so that it's in alignment with the zoning regs, or did you have real concerns about leaving things as is?
So the answer is yes. The reason why it wasn't updated was something related to guys help me. Was it driveways or was it roadways, or there was some sort of town ordinance that was supposed to be coming down the pike soon that we needed to be finished before we did the subdivision update.
It wasn't flag lots, was it?
No, it had something to do with roads, I think, or driveways or definitions or something like that.
So I would just like to know how broad a inconsistency we had between the two.
It's one is based off the old regs and one's based off the new. So it's
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, is it widespread or is it just?
I guess in my opinion, the subdivision ordinance is overly descriptive in a way that it could reference the zoning regs and simplify the whole process. There are things that are spelled out to infinitesimal detail that the zoning regs already take care of. So if we could mesh them as opposed to having them go like this, it would be easier.
That was the intention.
I think as our one of our guideposts when we engaged Glenn was to simplify. So yes, I would encourage Ann to look for ways to meld these things and to make them consistent.
Yes, that was the intention. We were given a couple of reasons why we weren't doing it at the time, but it was always the intention to update that regulation, that ordinance.
So
and was that upon direction of the town engineer, or was that somebody else?
What do you mean, the direction to not do it?
Yeah.
That was just a suggestion by all parties, basically saying, had talked to Janice because she might remember what I was talking about, but there was a reason that had something to do with.
All right, but
I don't remember.
That was then.
It doesn't matter now. That was then. We should just do it now.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
So what
authorize?
Just excuse me. What is the issue with the town engineer?
Don't worry about it. She'll figure it out.
We're not going back.
No.
Okay.
Let's authorize Ann to authorize the town planner to try and get the subdivision regulations in sync with our new code.
Yes.
Agreed.
Sounds good to me.
Agreed.
Okay.
Put it on your list.
And the last item on the chair, and well, no, there's two more items, but the last item for discussion is Scott, unfortunately, though I really appreciate your leadership, has requested to step down as chair. And I would like to thank you, Scott, for sticking with me over the last year. But understandably, he has other commitments. And so we are looking to accept his resignation and to put up a new slate of candidates, perhaps maybe more than one, for chair, vice chair, and secretary. And I would say, you know, as I said, when we had our annual meeting in the spring, the secretary, though in the bylaws is supposed to do a lot more than he or she does, really is just an honorary position. Chair and vice chair can run meetings when, you know, if the chair's absent, the vice chair would take the reins of a meeting. But does anybody have any nominees, I would say?
So my first question is, can we reject his resignation?
You could, yes, I guess you could.
Yeah, I appreciate I appreciated it when you guys voted for me. You know, I went back through my notes. It was actually more than 2 years ago. So I really appreciate when I was nominated, and I've really enjoyed helping to, you know, run these meetings as effectively as I possibly could. And I think it's just I've gotten to the point where I have too much going on that I need to start cutting back on some things. And I plan on still being part of the commission. Obviously, I just can't be in charge. I feel like I'm not going to be able going forward to give it the amount of attention that it deserves as a position to be chairman. So obviously I'm here to help. So if anybody has any questions or anything about the last 2 years, then by all means, let me know. But appreciate it.
That was very helpful, Scott, but to hear you to confirm that you're remaining on the board, because I think your institutional knowledge is huge and very helpful in every meeting you've counseled us. So that's really
I joked with Ann earlier too that this will mean that I'm able to express my opinion a little bit more instead of trying to stay as neutral as possible. So maybe that'll be good or bad. I don't know, but we'll see.
So we'll never know whether you've been holding back all this time, Scott.
Oh, we'll know.
I've definitely been holding back. But again, I think, you know, Phil did the same thing when he was in the position and folks before him. Like when we're trying to run the meeting, I think it's important. I always thought it was important to try to stay neutral and try to just, you know, take everything that everyone was bringing in and then help us as a group to come to decisions. So
Eject as few people as possible from the Zoom.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you did a fine job. And
yeah, very, very good job. Very good.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
That being said, and can I make a motion?
Sure.
I'd like to propose a slate for the Planning and Zoning Commission with Sean Cosgrove as chairman, Roger Joyce as vice chairman, and Larry Rizzolo as secretary.
Can an alternate be an officer?
No, you have to be a regular member. Yeah.
But I
Yeah, I mean,
appreciate the
how do
vote
you
of
want to run
confidence.
this? Do you want to just take suggestions, Ann, and then officially have a slate, or how do you want to handle it?
I think that's probably what you do.
Yeah, let's find a slate that works. Unfortunately, Larry is an alternate, so.
If I offer my resignation, then Larry will become full, right?
No.
Let's not go there.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay, so I would say, what do you think, Ann? Should everyone just email you
a slate
what they think, or what do you?
No,
how do you
well,
want to handle it?
Phil, could you
Or do you
come
want
up
to try
with
to
an
resolve this
alternate?
today?
Let's take care of this. So
Okay,
Phil,
let's try to
can you come
resolve
up
here.
with an
Anybody
alternate?
else? Anybody else have thoughts on?
Well,
who should
given
be
the
secretary?
relative insignificance of the secretary position, I would go with a secondary proposal as Sean as chair, Roger as vice chair, and I'll slide in as secretary.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can confirm that being secretary is quite a leisurely position, so no problem there, no demand. And for my part,
But I'm happy to step up if both of you are absent.
okay, that's great. I appreciate you including me, and I'd be happy to serve at the pleasure of the commission.
So was that an official motion, Phil?
Can I actually nominate myself as a question?
Yes.
Slate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
let's make it an official motion. Let's try it one more time as
All
an
right.
official
Okay.
motion.
Do we
I
have
would
a
like to
second, though?
make a
ahead.
motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission, until our next elections, be chaired by Sean Cosgrove, Roger Joyce be the vice chair, and I will serve as the secretary for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. All right, any discussion? Motion and a second, all in favor? I see some hands. All right,
I abstain.
we got an abstention,
Larry, I tried, man. I tried. If you hadn't
which we
brought
all
up
know we're not allowed to do.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Okay. Sean, you and I will have to talk soon because the plan of conservation and development is out on the streets for RFP, RFQ, and we will need to review those submissions mid-September.
And you and I will get to know each other more than you would like.
All right.
Okay. Our last item is the approval of the minutes from the July 3rd meeting.
I read the minutes and they seem substantially correct. So
I reviewed the minutes and made some suggestions to Robin. And so I would move that we approve the minutes with the corrections.
We have a second
Second.
from Bill. All right. Do you want to say it, Sean, or should I? All in favor?
All in favor. Thank you. Oh, Scott, you're so gracious.
All right. Anything else for us, Ann?
Nope, that's, I think, enough for tonight.
Oh,
Motion to adjourn.
So Scott, I
Yes.
think I've got my father's Robert's Rules of Order, but I'll need yours just to be up to date.
Okay.
I do
You'll
want
just you'll have to study the tape.
tonight's meeting
Yes,
was
Bill.
very nice because everybody was, all the things that came before us were so easy and they were so positive. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think
So
that's
we should have one final vote, which is I think we already did it, but I'll just say it again. Not a final, but a thanks to Scott.
Thank you for all your hard work. Motion to thank you for all his hard work.
appreciate it.
And I'm really looking forward to hearing your opinions now.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, look out. Look out.
All right.
All right. Motion to adjourn. I heard from
All right,
Phil. Do
guys.
we have a second?
Got it.
Second from Bill.
Okay.
All in
Bye.
favor?
Bye.
See you next
Thank you,
month.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ann.